Check this out. The sky just changed colour all of a sudden. You never know what you're going to get when you head out, and this is a crazy time for me, and this is probably why I end up at camp in the dark a lot, because this will stop me in my tracks, and I've just got to take photos of it. So I'm just going to move the car again just to get the headlights a bit more. But look at the sky. You got your white, yellow, orange, purple. I gotta move the car before this changes. G'day guys, Ronnie Dale, Four Wheeling Australia. In this particular video, I'm going to teach you how to take cool photos of your four-wheel drive. We all have Instagram accounts, we all have Facebook pages, we all have somewhere to share our photos, stories, and vehicles. I'm going to give you some handy tips on how to take a better photograph of your vehicle. The cameras I'm using today are high-end cameras. Canon 5D Mark III and a Mark IV with two different lenses on it. But the tips I'm giving you, you can do with your iPhone as well, or your Samsung or your Android. This is going to be very general and it's going to help you a lot with your photography. I will do some more advanced stuff over on my other channel, but I don't think it belongs here. So this is just so you guys can take some awesome photos when you guys head out four-wheeling and you want to capture those moments, you want to share that wicked shot, that moment you had in your vehicle on the tracks. This tip is a very easy one to follow. We are backlit, meaning that the sun is behind the vehicle. You can see there's a very hard shadow here, although it's a bit overcast now, but you get the idea. It's a very harsh shadow here. So if I take a photo of the vehicle from this side, the background's going to be blown out, the vehicle's going to be too dark, especially if you're using auto setting on your camera. Even if you go to manual mode and you muck around with them, you can get a usable photo, but it's not going to be a wow photo. What you really want to do here is change the position of your vehicle so you're shooting with the light. You need the light to light up your subject being the vehicle. Backlit is only cool if you've got like a nice orange backlit kind of scene going on and you want to get like a silhouette. And to get a silhouette of a vehicle, there's only certain times where that's going to work, like on top of a sand dune or something. Same setting we're going to use around this side. So the background's really blown out. And there you go. As you can see on your screen, these photos are very different. Backlit, don't waste your time shooting it. Go on the other side, turn the vehicle around. All right, ladies and gents, what's wrong with this picture? Aside from the patrol owner saying it's a bloody Land Cruiser, I'll show you. So first we'll take a shot here. Righto, I'm now going to improve it. And there we go. What a difference just by turning the wheel. And I'm sure you will agree by seeing that photo, the difference that just made by turning your wheel. So just think about your environment, think about the position of your vehicle. You can make it so much better. So we have a wide angle lens here. This is very, very wide. This is a 16 to 35. With your iPhone as well, it's quite wide. Be careful you don't get your shadow in the shot like a lot of people do. When you've got the sun behind you, you've got the perfect lighting conditions, but don't be fooled because that shadow can ruin your shot, especially with a wide angle lens. So that's one thing to bear in mind. So walk around or move your vehicle if you want a different shot. Another thing that I see a lot of people doing is this. I'm not saying it's a bad photo. Well, actually it is a bad photo because everyone takes that same photo from the same angle. This is how you can improve on that photo. As you saw, standing up, just like we all see the cars every day, what makes photos good is when you see it from someone else's perspective. And that's what these cameras can do. They're an extension of what you see. So use it to your advantage. For example, that compared to that. You can see on one of the photos where I squatted down, it's an angle you don't normally see. It makes the vehicle look tougher, looks beefier, and you're going to get more focus on the front end of the tyre and all that, of everything that sings full drive about the vehicle. When you go up high, it's what we see every single day when we walk around the shopping centre, shopping centre car park. That's what we see. We're walking around. That's the angle we always see. So get down, do something different. Next lesson is the horizon. This isn't too much of a problem when you are out and about in a bush, but when you have a nice flat horizon like on the coast, you want to make sure that your camera is level, because otherwise you can wreck the photo. It's quite common you accidentally tilt the camera. On your iPhone and on your DSLRs, you should usually have some horizon lines or some squares, or even like the rule of thirds grids, which we'll get to in a sec. Use those grids to line up the horizon. When you're taking a photo and the horizon is in the background, which it usually is with your vehicle, the rule of thirds apply here. What I mean by this, if you take a normal photo, I'll put the horizon right in the middle. Now I'm going to show you the difference when you add 2/3 of ground, 1/3 of sky, and then flip that in reverse as well. 2/3 of sky, 1/3 of ground, and you'll see how much better that'll look. As you can see with the rule of thirds, they're much better photos rather than putting horizon right in the middle. It's kind of very bland. It's kind of what everyone does. Yeah, it's just like bang, just point and shoot. Think about it a bit more. You can use this to your advantage. The one with 2/3 of the sky makes the sky look so much bigger. And the ones with the 2/3 of the ground, that's what you would use if the ground is really interesting. So for example, around here, there's a lot of seaweed. It's not looking very nice. We'll go for the sky. Now, if the sky has clouds in the blue sky, you're going to want to go for the 2/3 in the sky, because it just makes the sky pop. When the sky is completely overcast, it's a bit boring. When the sky is completely blue, it's a bit boring. For ideal photos, you want a little bit of cloud in there. Photography is all about light, but it's also about the composition. Now, this means what is actually being photographed, what is being focused on, and what are you trying to convey. What we are doing today is basically just photographing the vehicle. The vehicle is the main subject. We want to see all the lines in the vehicle, the accessories, the toughness of the tires. You know, it's an off-road rig, but that's all we're doing. But think about it, when you are out in the sand dunes, you want to portray the environment as well. So you want the vehicle, but you also want the environment. So the environment tells people where you are, the story of where you are, and the vehicle tells the story of how you got there and what you've had to travel through. And those two combined, when it's put in the right place, can really make a beautiful image. For example, you don't want your vehicle to be something you can barely see, and then you just got this massive environment, because you may get lost in the whole environment. So you need to balance it out, but sometimes it'll work. And that's where the headlights come in handy. For example, in this image here, the whole environment takes up most of the space, but this little vehicle and this person on the image really stands out. So there's different ways you can do it. If you follow the rules to begin with, you're going to get some good images. But then sometimes you'll just see something where you just want to break the rules. And when you break the rules, awesome things happen when done right. Just seen a cool shot before I moved the vehicle, and I've changed the camera. Now on the prime lens is a 50mm lens, so you have to move back a bit. Yeah, that's a cool image, I like that. And you'll see a good placement here of the vehicle on the image, and you will note that I've placed the horizon pretty much level with the roof. And that's an interesting one. For example, if you're taking photos of someone at the beach, we'll just get Chris, the cameraman, to line me up so the horizon is just at my neck. And you can see there, it's like my head's been chopped off. So that's another thing you gotta got to factor in if you're taking a family photo on the beach, you don't want to cut the horizon here. You want to bring it up here or further down. That's another cool tip. So as I mentioned, this is a prime lens, meaning that I can't zoom in and out, and that brought up another fact I see a lot of people doing. They get lazy with their iPhones. So on our iPhone, Samsung or Android, you can sit here, you can line it up. There's our rule of thirds. That's a really cool photo here, but I see a lot of people, they press this ×2. When you are doing that, you are lessening the quality of the image. So this is a digital zoom. So unless it's an optic zoom, don't do it. If you do a digital zoom, you are lessening the quality of your photo. Don't be lazy, walk like I have to with this camera. You gotta walk. So we'll walk in, get it where we want it, line up the lines, and take the photo. That's what you want to do. You don't want to use a zoom in and out. The same goes for GoPros and all that as well. They all have this zoom function. What you're actually doing is you're digitally zooming in and you are lessening the quality of your photo. So this is a different kind of shot. We're going to use some grass as a foreground. So we're talking foreground and backgrounds now. Another thing you want to keep in mind, when you're on this pristine dunes or tracks, you don't want to put your footprints in front of it because it may ruin the shot. So do your best to walk around it. Obviously don't step through vegetation on dunes because you could damage that, but you get the idea. So walk around that a bit. Plan for this shot here is to get some foreground that's blurred out. Now I brought out this camera here. You would have seen these settings that I've posted on every single photo as we've been watching this. You have f-stop, that's your aperture. ISO, that's like the noise that's in your the photo, the image, the quality of it. And then you have the shutter speed. Now the shutter speed is how long the shutter is open for taking the image. Those we'll get to a bit later, but there'll be way more in depth on how to get into manual mode so you understand all those. This is just general stuff as I explained. But right now, we're gonna try and make something that looks a bit bleak here, a bit more fancy. And we may have to get down and dirty here. We're going for a really shallow depth of field. And what I mean by that is the lower your f-stop is, the lower the number is, the more light you're letting in, but the shallower the depth of field is. I'll give you an example and I'll mirror the example as well. So first we'll focus on some grass. There we go. Get the composition right. So now I'm placing the vehicle in the shot. Boom. All right, now I'm gonna focus on the headlight on the vehicle. There we go, and boom. All right, so you'll see the two different shots here and you'll see the difference. You can get some really amazing shots in some really bleak environments like here. There's not much to see here really, it's kind of bland, right? But if you get down and you have a bit of a muck around, you can get some really good shots. I used the grass, now I'm going to use the rock. And the benefit of this is I don't have to get onto the ground here too much because I can just bend my knees here a bit, we're down lower. Now what will be a really cool shot, and I'll show an example image on the screen right now, is if I brought that Land Cruiser right to the edge of this rock, that'll look really awesome. Now I'm not going to do that here because we'll be damaging the environment. So let's take another shot here. We're going to use this rock as a foreground, this reef here, the limestone. There we go. Down lower. Awesome. That looks wicked. Another thing I'd like to point out is when you are photographing a vehicle from the front, the best spot to focus on is in fact the headlights, because the headlights, they're kind of like our eyes. When I'm talking to you guys on the camera, you're looking at my eyes. You generally are looking at the person's eyes when they're talking to you. The same thing with a vehicle, it's kind of like a pair of eyes. Think about the movie Cars. Your kids will agree with that one. It's gotten pretty dark now. We didn't really get the sunset we wanted, but I got some cool shots with filters and stuff. So it gets a bit complicated because we were backlighting. Like I said earlier, don't backlight unless you've got other means that can make it work, which means filters and stuff. And that's a bit complicated and it costs a lot of money. Not everyone's gonna have that. So what we are doing here instead is we are using twilight. It's quite dark over here. I can't shoot that way. As you can see, there's a bit of reflection off the ocean, so the vehicle's gonna look really dark. On this side, however, it's quite dark. So I'm able to manipulate the light a bit. This is where you are going to have to go to manual mode or to go to nighttime mode. And I'm using the lights in my vehicle here to sort of really, you know, like emphasize the modifications to the vehicle. Like, it's a four-wheel drive vehicle, we got all the lights on, it looks cool. I've adjusted the exposure, so for those playing at home who can use manual mode, sticking to manual mode, I've got shutter speed to 1/13 of a second. My f-stop is down to 3.2, so that's the aperture, it's 3.2, and ISO is still at 100, so I'm blocking a lot of light out. And I've got the 2-second delay on, so you can even do that to your iPhone. You can put a 2-second delay, so when I press this button, that way I'm not touching the tripod, I'm not interfering with it. But as you can see straight off the camera, that's actually a really good shot. So come have a look. Blammo, there you go. That looks pretty cool. Now it is a bit dark on this side of the vehicle. As you can see on your screen now, it's a bit dark on that side, but with a bit of manipulation post, you can fix that up a bit. So we need to reduce the shadows a little bit. You can do that on the iPhone, you can do it on Lightroom. Also, when using tripods and you want to put the vehicle in one corner of your frame, even just when you're freehanding a camera and you want to put the vehicle in the frame, you will note that on your iPhone, let's get that out now. We should be able to see that because the light's quite low now. We got the iPhone out here, so even the iPhone takes a bloody good image at this time of night. Now we want to put the vehicle in focus, so we press here, and here's your rule of thirds, you've got the lines. So I want that in focus, we take a photo. Now with a DSLR, most cameras are going to have the center point as the focus point. That's what I generally use. So what I will do is I'll half press on my DSLR, so when you press halfway, it fixes on, it locks on focus to whatever the subject is. Then I'll reframe and then I'll press all the way. So halfway, you hit a beep on most cameras, that means it's taken in focus, and then you compose the photo and then bang, and you take the shot. That way your subject that you want to put in either one of those corners of the rule of thirds is in focus and is sharp, and the rest of the image lines up to where you want it. So instead of having the vehicle in the middle of the photo every single shot, which a lot of people do, move it to one of the corners, move it to one of the intersecting lines of the rule of thirds, and you will improve your photo so much. Even if you're looking at Instagram square photos, you can line it up to one of those corners and you're going to improve on your photo so much more. All right, check this out. The sky just changed color all of a sudden. And you never know what you're going to get when you head out. And this is a crazy time for me, and this is probably why I end up at camp in the dark a lot, because this will stop me in my tracks, and I've just got to take photos of it. So I'm just going to move the car again just to get the headlights a bit more. But look at the sky. You got your white, yellow, orange, purple. I gotta move the car before this changes. Now what we can see and what the camera can see are two different things, because I can allow more light to come in. So what we are seeing here, the vehicle's quite dark. It still looks awesome, just to the naked eye, but with the camera you can manipulate it. Now in post, I am going to manipulate the sky a bit. I'm going to pull the colours a bit more out, make them pop a bit more, but they are popping heaps right now. It's always when you go to pack everything up, this happens. All right, so we're cheating a bit here now. We've got this light out here, which we're using to light my face up so you can actually see what I'm talking about, see my face, but that's lit up this here. So that's another good thing you can do when you get to this kind of light. You can see I'm frothing on this right now. This is awesome. So if you have a camping light, or like a Milwaukee or a Ryobi light, any light you want, place it on the ground, shining up, not too close to the subject of course, and then you can get photos like this. This is awesome. I'm gonna get behind that camera again. That's the shoot complete. So hopefully you got some good tips there and you can take some cracker photos. Now feel free to actually send me some photos and I will critique them on Talking 4x4. I'll do an episode just on critiquing your photos, even landscape photos if you like. Send them in. There'll be an email on the screen. You can send them there. There'll be an email in the description below. Send them through and I'll do a Talking 4x4 episode just dedicated to talking about taking photos, particularly of your vehicle out in this environment. So if you liked it and you want to know more, scoot on over to my second channel because I'll get more into technical stuff there. But if you have more questions and you would like more vehicle-based stuff on my main channel here, let me know as well and I'll see what I can do. Maybe some motion shots. That'll be a good one actually, motion shots, because that's quite technical. So stay tuned guys, I'll see you in the next one.